Imagine for a moment that you are not just another option, one of many in a sea of indifference. Imagine being the luxury, that rare gem that draws all eyes, that commands respect without having to ask for it. A being whose value is not measured by what it does, but by what it is. Carl Jung, the master of deep psychology, left us a key to understanding how we reach that status, how we stop being an echo of the crowd and become the irrefutable choice. Because who wants to be just an option when you can be the option, a luxury that is never forgotten, a standard that others aspire to reach? In this video, you will discover 9 essential keys that will transform you from being just an alternative to becoming that unique, unattainable presence that not only stands out, but commands respect. If you are ready to elevate your life and become something irreplaceable, stay with us, because this will change the way you see yourself and how the world sees you. It's time to stop being an option. It's time to be a luxury. Are you ready for the challenge? Let's go. Imagine for a moment that within you is a seed that has never been touched by doubt or fear, a seed that holds all the potential of who you can become. But that seed can't bloom unless you choose to nurture it, unless you're willing to dig deep into your inner soil, to face the roots of your fears, your insecurities, the limiting beliefs you've carried for years. How many times have you felt like you're not enough? Like you don't have what it takes to stand out? Those moments are not accidents. They're reminders that your essence is calling out to be discovered. Because behind every feeling of emptiness is a truth waiting to be found. Most people live disconnected from themselves, searching outside for what has always been within. But the real difference, what makes someone truly unique, lies in their ability to see themselves without filters, without excuses, without fear. When you begin to explore who you really are, you discover parts of yourself you've ignored, talents you've underestimated, aspects of your personality you thought were flaws, but that are actually what make you authentic. It's not about changing who you are, it's about expanding, removing the layers that have kept you small, that have convinced you you have nothing special to offer. Think of a rough diamond. At first glance, it doesn't seem like much. Its beauty is hidden under a layer of imperfections, but those who know how to look beyond the surface see its potential. They know that with the right work, that diamond can become something everyone desires. You are that diamond, and while the process of polishing may be uncomfortable, even painful, it's the only way to reveal the brilliance that's always been there. But no one else can do that work for you. It's up to you to decide whether you'll remain just another option or become a luxury. Becoming a luxury doesn't mean being inaccessible or arrogant. It means being so authentic and true to yourself that others can't help but see you as something extraordinary. It means recognizing your value, not in a superficial way, but from a deep place where you understand that what you have to offer cannot be replicated. But to get to that place, you first have to face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. The voices that tell you you're not good enough, that you don't have what it takes, that someone else will always be better. Those voices are like shadows covering your light. And as long as you let them rule your life, you'll remain just another option. Because the truth is this, others will value you only as much as you value yourself. But what does it really mean to value yourself? It's not just about looking in the mirror and repeating affirmations. It's a much deeper process. It's looking at your achievements and your failures with equal acceptance. It's embracing both your strengths and your vulnerabilities. It's understanding that everything you've lived, no matter how painful or seemingly insignificant, has a purpose. Every experience, every fall, every success, those are the bricks with which you'll build something unique. But to do that, you must be willing to stop comparing, to let go of the need to fit in, and to start living from your truth. Society has taught us that to stand out we must compete, be the best, outperform others. But that only leads to exhaustion. True luxury doesn't compete, and true luxury simply is. It's like a tree growing in the middle of a forest. It doesn't worry about being taller than the others. It simply grows toward its highest expression, and in that growth it becomes something worthy of admiration. The same goes for you. You're not here to compete. You're here to grow into your truest self. When you start living from that place, something shifts. Your presence feels different. You no longer need to convince anyone of your worth. Your energy speaks for itself. People begin to see you as someone who cannot be replaced, not because you do more than others, but because you are more yourself than ever. That's the key. It's not about doing, it's about being. Allowing yourself to exist in such an honest, transparent way that others can't help but be drawn to your authenticity. Authenticity is a magnet, but it's also a challenge because being authentic means showing up as you are, even when you know some won't understand. It means trusting that what you have to offer will be enough for those who are meant to value it. And it means accepting that not everyone will, and that's okay. Not everyone can appreciate a luxury because not everyone is ready for it. But that doesn't mean you should change who you are to meet others' expectations. I want you to think about this. If you weren't you, if you were observing yourself from the outside, what would you see? Would you see someone living from their essence or someone trying to be what others want them to be? That's an uncomfortable question, but a necessary one, because you can't become a luxury if you're not willing to be honest with yourself. And honesty isn't always pleasant. Sometimes it means admitting you've been living a life that isn't yours, that you've let fear dictate your decisions, that you've forgotten who you truly are. But that honesty is also freeing, because once you accept where you are, you can begin to move toward where you truly want to be. Every time you choose to know yourself a little more, every time you decide to let go of what no longer serves you, you move closer to that version of yourself that is unique, unrepeatable, and extraordinary. And when you finally allow yourself to be that version, the world notices, because the world is full of options, but very few dare to be a luxury. And if you're willing to do the work, you can be one of them. Have you ever wondered how the energy you emit impacts the way others perceive you? Not the energy of your surface-level actions, but that invisible force that transcends words, that is felt before you say or do anything. That energy is your true imprint, and it determines whether others see you as ordinary or exceptional. But here's the challenge. To transform that energy and become a magnet for admiration, you must first transform yourself. You can't project what doesn't live within you. You can't pretend to shine if inside you carry doubts, insecurities, or resentments that dim your light. It all starts in that invisible space within you, where your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are born. That is where you either build or destroy your personal power. Imagine for a moment that your energy is like an inner fire. Some people allow that fire to burn out, letting external circumstances smother it with fear or frustration. Others choose to protect and feed that fire, turning it into a flame so powerful it lights not only their path but also the paths of those around them. That flame cannot be faked or fabricated. It's a direct reflection of how you choose to treat yourself and the relationship you have with your deepest self. When we talk about transforming your energy, it's not about lighting a spark that briefly impresses. It's about igniting a steady flame that others can feel, even when you're not physically present. But for that flame to burn, you must release everything that suffocates it. Ask yourself, how many times have you allowed doubt to extinguish your confidence? How many times has the fear of not being enough silenced your true expression? Those thoughts are nothing more than shadows cast by your mind, and as long as you hold on to them, your energy will reflect that insecurity. You don't need others to believe in you to begin transforming your energy. You need to be the one who decides to break the patterns that have kept you small. The energy of someone who sees themselves as a luxury has nothing to do with arrogance. It's the calm confidence of someone who has done the inner work of knowing and fully accepting themselves. It's a kind of magnetism that can't be built with external strategies. It radiates from a deep place of alignment. But getting there is not a linear or easy process. It requires facing the parts of yourself you don't always want to see, those beliefs you've carried for years that, without realizing it, keep you in a state of scarcity. Scarcity isn't just the absence of resources, it's the belief that you're never enough, that something is always missing in you to be truly valued. But the truth is that belief doesn't have roots in reality. It lives in the story you've told yourself. When you begin to question those stories and replace them with truths that align with your essence, something changes. You no longer need to prove your worth. You embody it. You stop competing for attention. Your presence speaks for itself. Visualize a crystal-clear lake at the top of a mountain. Its surface is calm, undisturbed, and reflects everything around it with stunning clarity. That's the image of transformed energy, something so pure and authentic it doesn't seek validation, because its very existence is enough. That lake doesn't try to be anything else. It simply is. But its stillness and depth inspire those who come near. Now imagine what would happen if that lake were constantly agitated, filled with debris or polluted. It would lose its reflection, its beauty, its impact. That's the difference between energy clouded by inner chaos and energy that has been transformed. You get to choose which one you project. Yes, we live in a world that seems to feed off of agitation. Social media, obligations, expectations, everything seems to push you to move faster, do more, be more. But here's the paradox. The more you disconnect from your center to please others or meet the world's expectations, the weaker your energy becomes. Transforming yourself internally doesn't mean isolating from the world. It means learning to interact with it from a place of strength, not need. From a place where your peace is non-negotiable. The process of transforming your energy doesn't happen overnight. It's a path made up of small, daily acts that build a solid relationship with yourself. It's not just about what you do, but how you do it. Every thought you choose to feed, every decision you make, every emotion you allow yourself to feel, they are like bricks in the construction of your inner power. And when you commit to building from authenticity, the results become inevitable. People begin to notice something different in you, something they can't explain but are naturally drawn to. Some might call it charisma, others might call it presence, but what they're really witnessing is the reflection of someone who has aligned with themselves. That alignment isn't perfect or constant, but it is honest. It's not about never feeling fear or doubt, but about learning not to let those emotions define who you are. Because when you become the master of your energy, negative emotions don't disappear, but they lose the power to control you. You get to decide which part of you leads the way. Imagine just for a moment that your energy is like a melody. There are melodies that barely register, easily drowned out by noise, but there are others that resonate so deeply you can't ignore them. That melody has its own vibration, its own harmony, and when someone hears it, they feel something different. That's what happens when you transform your energy. You stop being just another note in the background noise and become a melody that can't be ignored. That melody doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be authentic. At this point, you may be wondering how to start working on that transformation. There's no single path or magic formula, but there's one thing that's constant: the will to stop, look within, and observe what kind of energy you're cultivating. You might discover that there are patterns you need to let go of, wounds you haven't healed, beliefs that no longer serve you. That process may be uncomfortable, but it's the price of freedom. True transformation never happens in comfort. Inner power is not something you achieve in a moment of inspiration. It's the result of daily commitment to yourself. It's the result of choosing, over and over again, to be authentic in a world that constantly asks you to be something else. It's the result of giving yourself permission to fail, to grow, to be imperfect, and still be valuable. Because the energy of someone who sees themselves as a luxury doesn't depend on what others think, but on what they know they are. When your energy is aligned with that truth, you don't need to speak louder or make more noise to be heard. People feel that strength before you even open your mouth. They feel that there's something in you that cannot be copied or replicated, because it comes from a unique place. That's the essence of being a luxury, not being something anyone can find, but being something anyone would want to hold on to. The world is full of options, people who settle for the minimum, who live on the surface, who don't dare to look beyond. But you are not just another option. You have the ability to be something that others truly value, something that inspires, something that transforms. That ability is there, waiting to be awakened. The question is, are you willing to do the work? Because if you do, I assure you that your energy will not only transform how others see you, but also how you see yourself. And when that happens, you'll stop being an option and become something that simply can't be ignored. Have you ever stopped to think about everything you're chasing? That feeling that you need more, that there's something out there that, if only you had it, would finally make you feel complete. It's easy to get trapped in that endless race, believing that happiness, security, or success are just one step further, one more effort, one more achievement. But that cycle is nothing but a trap, a mirage that keeps you far from the true power you have inside of you. And here's the paradox. The more you search for something out of need, the farther away it gets, because desire born of lack can never fill the void it creates. Everything you think you need is already inside of you, but to realize that, you must break with the mindset that taught you otherwise. It's not your fault if you've learned to measure your worth by what you have or what you do. It's what we've been taught, that abundance is something you earn, that it depends on something external. But the truth is, abundance is not something you find. It's something you choose. It's an inner state that has nothing to do with what you own, but with who you are. It's not about how much you have, it's about how you feel about yourself. Imagine for a moment that your life is like a river. There's a natural flow designed to carry you forward toward what truly belongs to you. But that flow can only operate when you trust, when you stop fighting against the current and allow the water to guide you. The problem is, most of the time, instead of flowing, you try to control the river. You build mental dams made of fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs that block the water's flow. You cling to control, thinking that if you don't direct every aspect, everything will fall apart. But control is just an illusion, and the more you cling to it, the more you disconnect from the power that comes from flowing with life. The most powerful change you can make doesn't happen outside. It happens inside, in your perception. Because abundance isn't about accumulating, it's about recognizing that you already have everything you need to be whole. It's a shift in how you experience life, how you look at what's around you, and how you look at yourself. Have you noticed how people who seem to have magnetic energy, who radiate confidence and calm, aren't obsessed with proving their worth? That's no coincidence. It's because they've stopped looking outside for what they've already found within. And that inner peace, that certainty, is what makes them irresistible. Because true abundance can't be faked, it's felt. Need, on the other hand, is like a bottomless pit. No matter how much you try to fill it, something will always be missing. That's what happens when you chase something from a place of lack. It's never enough. If you seek recognition because you don't feel valued, no matter how much you achieve, there will always be a part of you that doubts your worth. If you seek love from a place of insecurity, even when you find it, you'll fear losing it. And so the cycle continues, because what you seek isn't external. It's about healing that part of you that feels something is missing. But letting go of the mindset of scarcity doesn't mean giving up your dreams or desires. It doesn't mean settling. It means changing the energy from which you relate to them. Because when you stop seeking from a place of need, you start attracting from a place of fullness. And that's where the magic happens. The things that once seemed out of reach begin to flow toward you, not because you're desperately pursuing them, but because you've aligned with them. The external world is a reflection of your inner world. If you're filled with doubts inside, you'll attract experiences that force you to confront those doubts. But if you cultivate an energy of trust and gratitude, the universe responds in the same frequency. Think about how it feels to truly live from fullness. It's like walking barefoot on the sand, feeling each step with such an authentic connection that you need nothing more to be happy. It doesn't mean you don't have goals or aspirations. It means those goals don't define your worth. They are a complement, not a condition for your happiness. Fullness is knowing that even if nothing changes, you are already enough. It's liberating because it gives you the security that you don't need to impress anyone or meet external expectations to feel valuable. In that state, abundance becomes inevitable. Because when you no longer need something, you stop projecting the energy of lack that pushes it away. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. If you close your fists too tightly, the water slips away. But if you keep your hands open, the water stays. The same happens with desires. The more you chase them from a place of lack, the more resistance you create. But when you trust, when you release, what's meant for you comes naturally. This doesn't mean you sit and wait for everything to happen without action. The difference lies in how you take those actions. Are you acting from a place of anxiety, trying to control every detail, or from a place of trust, knowing that everything you do from your authenticity will align with what you truly need? That's the true key. Trust in yourself, in the process, and in the belief that what's meant for you cannot be lost. That trust is the foundation of abundance, but trusting requires courage. It requires letting go of the fear of failure, the fear of not being enough, and the fear of the unknown. It's an act of faith in yourself, in your ability to adapt, to learn, to grow. Because life won't always follow the script you have in mind. There will be times when things don't go as expected, when it seems like you're moving backward. But even in those moments, abundance is there, if you choose to see it. Because every challenge, every loss, every detour is an opportunity to rediscover your inner power. Abundance is not the absence of problems, but the ability to face them from a place of strength and peace. As you begin to live from this mindset, something changes, not just in you, but in how others perceive you. People are drawn to those who radiate fullness because deep down, everyone is searching for that feeling. Being someone who lives from abundance doesn't mean having everything figured out. It means being a reminder that fullness is possible, that it's not about what you have, but how you choose to experience life. All of this may sound abstract, but it has very practical application. Every time you find yourself feeling like something is missing, stop. Instead of focusing on what you don't have, look at what is already there. Gratitude is not just an exercise, it's a way of transforming your energy. It's a reminder that, even as you continue to grow, you are already complete. You don't need to be more to be enough. And when you realize that, everything changes because you stop chasing and you start attracting. And in that shift of dynamics, you discover that life is not about having, but about being. You may not realize it, but every decision you make, every action you choose, speaks of the standards you've set for your life. And the most impactful thing is that these standards not only determine how you live, but also how the world responds to you. How others perceive you is not defined by what you say or promise, but by what you allow, what you tolerate, the invisible lines you draw to define who you are and what you're willing to accept. Those lines are non-negotiable. If you want to be seen as something extraordinary, as someone who cannot be ignored, a luxury that is not available to anyone, that isn't found at every corner, that isn't easily given, then those standards are key. And that exclusivity isn't something you say, it's something you feel. The same happens with you. The standards you set in your life are like a silent language that communicates to others how deeply you value yourself, how firm your conviction is that you deserve more. Have you stopped to think about what you're communicating with what you accept in your relationships, in your work, in your daily life? Every time you ignore a lack of respect, every time you accept less than what you know you deserve, you are lowering those lines, softening the edges of your essence. You're allowing the extraordinary in you to dissolve into the ordinary. Living with high standards doesn't mean being rigid or unyielding. It's not about building barriers, but about creating a safe space where only what truly elevates your life has room to exist. It's like a garden. If you let everything in without control, soon it will be overrun by weeds that choke the flowers you're trying so hard to cultivate. But if you take care of that garden, if you consciously choose what you allow in, you create a space where what blooms is beautiful, vibrant, and full of life. You are that garden, and the boundaries you set are the care that ensures what makes you special is not lost. Some people fear setting standards because they believe it will cause them to lose connections, opportunities, or acceptance. But here's the truth. Those who truly value you won't walk away because you stand up for yourself. Those who leave because you don't accept less than you deserve were never meant to stay. And that's not a loss, it's a gain. Because every time you choose to elevate your standards, you attract people and experiences that are aligned with your true value. It's an act of purification, a way to release the weight of what is not meant to walk with you forward. It's not just about what you accept from others, but about what you accept from yourself. Every time you postpone your dreams, every time you choose the easy way instead of the right way, you're sending a message to the world that you don't fully trust your ability to reach something greater. And life will always respond according to that message. The universe doesn't negotiate with insecurity, but it magically aligns with those who have the courage to set clear boundaries. Not from arrogance, but from the clarity of knowing what they are and what they are not willing to be. Imagine for a moment that you are a lighthouse in the middle of a dark ocean. Your light is not meant to convince all the ships to come to you, but to guide those who are destined to find your harbor. That light doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to justify its place on the horizon. It simply shines. But if that lighthouse allows its light to go out from the fear of not being seen or from exhaustion, trying to light up everything at once, it loses its purpose. It loses its essence. You are that lighthouse, and your standards are the intensity with which you decide to shine. It's easy to think that setting boundaries is an act of separation, but it's quite the opposite. It's an act of love, first toward yourself and consequently toward others. Because only from a place of respect and clarity can you offer the best of yourself. Setting standards doesn't mean being inaccessible. It means being aware that not everyone can or should have access to you. And that doesn't make you selfish. It makes you selective. And selectivity is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Have you noticed how certain people seem to have an aura around them, a presence that makes them stand out effortlessly? That presence is not something they were born with. It's the result of how they've decided to live, of the standards they've set and the ones they are not willing to compromise. That energy, that magnetism, doesn't arise from being complacent or available at all times. It arises from being clear, from being consistent, from living in such solid alignment with their inner value that the world has no choice but to recognize it. The key is consistency. You cannot set a standard in one part of your life and allow the opposite in another. You cannot demand respect if you don't respect yourself. You cannot attract something authentic if you live in incongruence. Your standards are not just words or isolated decisions. They are a constant reflection of how you choose to present yourself to the world. They are the foundation upon which you build your identity and impact, and that impact is felt, not because you say it, but because you live it. The challenge is that establishing and maintaining high standards can sometimes feel like a solitary act, but that solitude is not a punishment. It is a filter. It is a space that allows you to observe, reflect, and remember that you are not seeking quantity but quality. It is in those moments of apparent emptiness where your strength is reinforced, where you realize that you don't need the noise to feel whole, that your value does not depend on how many people walk beside you, but on how you choose to walk with yourself. Every time you choose to elevate your standards, something within you transforms. You begin to walk with a different kind of confidence, not because everything is resolved, but because you trust that what you are doing is solid. That confidence is what makes others perceive you as someone who cannot be ignored, as a luxury that is not within everyone's reach. But that perception cannot be built from the outside in. It can only arise from constant inner work, a daily decision to be true to who you really are. Transformation is not a final destination. It is not a place where you arrive and decide you are done. It is a continuous process, a journey where there is always more to discover, more to adjust, more to refine. And that should not discourage you. It should inspire you because every step on that path brings you closer to a version of yourself that is authentic, magnetic, and irreplaceable. The standards you choose today are the roots of what will bloom tomorrow. And those roots cannot be superficial. They need depth, care, and an unwavering commitment to yourself. The world does not need more people who settle. It needs more people who live with courage, who dare to be different, who are not afraid to rise, even if it means leaving behind what no longer fits into their lives. You don't need to tell the world who you are. You need to show it. And every time you choose not to accept less, every time you choose to live with integrity and clarity, you are leaving a mark that cannot be ignored. Because the extraordinary doesn't need an explanation. It simply is, and you, if you are willing to live from that place, have the power to become something that cannot be replaced. Sophistication is not something that is bought or learned. It is something that is cultivated from within. It is the subtle combination of your purest authenticity and the constant commitment to refine who you are. But what does it really mean to be authentic? It is not simply showing up as you are without filters or masks. True authenticity requires that you face yourself directly, confront not only what you love about yourself, but also what makes you uncomfortable, what you wish to hide. And it's not enough to accept those parts. You must learn to integrate them, to turn them into strength rather than weakness. Only then can you build a presence that not only stands out but inspires. It is easy to think that sophistication has to do with the external, language, appearance, gestures, but none of that matters if it is not aligned with what you truly are. Congruence is the key. Imagine a river flowing uninterrupted, clear, and in total harmony with the terrain surrounding it. That is how someone feels who has found that perfect mix of authenticity and evolution. Every word they say, every action they take, reflects an unwavering commitment to themselves that is impossible to ignore. But to reach that place, you must be willing to let go of what doesn't belong to you. Many of us carry expectations, beliefs, and behaviors that we never consciously chose, but that we allow to define who we are. It's like wearing a suit that wasn't made for you, something that, although it may work, will never allow you to move freely. Refining means first shedding everything that doesn't reflect your truth, and it's not an easy process, because often what you've used to fit in has become part of your identity. But you cannot be a luxury while still carrying what keeps you small. Sophistication is also a matter of intention. It's not about doing everything perfectly, but about doing it with purpose. Every word you choose, every decision you make, should be infused with a deeper meaning because it is that intention that gives weight and significance to your actions. People don't remember what you say, they remember how you made them feel, and that feeling, that mark, comes from the connection between who you are and how you choose to share it with the world. An authentic presence is not built by trying to please everyone. It is built from a place of truth, from the courage to show up fully, even in your imperfection. Because authenticity is not synonymous with perfection, it is synonymous with honesty. When people feel that there are no masks, that what they see is real, their perception changes. They no longer see you as just another face in the crowd, but as someone who stands out simply because they dare to be. This authenticity, combined with the conscious intention to evolve, creates something powerful. It's not a sudden change. It's not an instant revolution. It's a constant refinement, like polishing a stone that you know holds something precious inside. Every small adjustment, every moment of reflection, every decision to let go of what no longer serves you, brings you closer to your purest essence. And even though it is a process, it is what truly makes the difference. Because you are not trying to reach a place, you are learning to walk with more clarity, more purpose, more confidence in who you are. Don't underestimate the impact of small gestures, the way you greet, how you look at others, how you listen, how you present yourself. Everything speaks of you. Every detail matters, not because you should obsess over them, but because they are natural reflections of your essence. You don't need to do more, you just need to be more yourself, in a way that is so clear and genuine that others can't ignore it. Being a luxury isn't about being unattainable, it's about being unforgettable. And that isn't achieved through grandeur, but through authenticity, with a sophistication that doesn't shout but leaves an enduring impression. The impact you have on others doesn't come from your actions to impress, it comes from who you are and how you choose to express it. That choice, though seemingly simple, holds the power to change everything. It's not about your achievements or how many people are watching. It's about the depth with which you walk your own path. Being a luxury, being irreplaceable, isn't something others define for you. It's something you choose to embody in every moment. It's not about titles, accomplishments, or appearances. It's about the connection you have with yourself, the quiet certainty that your worth lies not in what you do, but in who you are when no one is looking. Picture for a moment a flame that burns steadily with strength. It doesn't flicker, nor does it allow the winds around it to extinguish it. This flame doesn't need to be large to shine. It simply exists, and in its existence it transforms everything it touches. That is your essence when you connect with your true self. It's a presence that doesn't shout, but fills the space with an energy that can't be ignored. It's the kind of presence that leaves a lasting mark, not because you're trying to stand out, but because authentic energy can never go unnoticed. You may have believed that in order to be valued, you must try harder, prove more, achieve more. But that's not the path. True luxury isn't found in what you accumulate, it's found in what you release, in the ability to let go of the need for approval, to stop the endless comparisons, to stop trying to be everything for everyone. The more you release, the more you create space for your true self to emerge. And when you live from this place, others feel it. They don't need an explanation because authenticity speaks its own language, one that everyone recognizes, even if they can't put it into words. Every moment is an invitation to be more of who you already are, not because something is lacking, but because there is always more to discover within you. It's not about reaching an endpoint. It's about continuously shedding what you're not, what you no longer need, and in that process becoming something that cannot be defined, something that can't be boxed into a category. You become a force that inspires, not because you seek to, but because you dare to. Luxury isn't a destination, it's a way of walking through life. It's a decision you make every day. The decision not to settle for anything that doesn't reflect your truth. The decision to be whole in every interaction. The decision to look within and find there everything the world ever made you believe you needed to search for outside. And as you keep walking with that certainty, you'll realize that you're not only seen as unique, but you'll begin to see yourself as you've always been, someone who doesn't need to be anything more than authentic to be extraordinary.